Hey, what's poppin' YouTube? This your boy Bear 3200, and we back with another video today on a father of 12 who just kills. He just did it to everybody, y'all. This man just wiped everybody out, y'all, because of the fact that he was in the closet. But hey, this is my first time seeing the video, y'all. We're gonna react to it at the same time for those who just tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. We off.
Were killed in a triple shooting. This is over in Manatee County, not far from the Tampa-St. Petersburg area. And those killed include the mother and cousin of the man deputies believe pulled the trigger.
In June 2024, an unspeakable tragedy shocked the quiet streets of Florida. A father of 12, 28-year-old Javonte Bryce went on a horrifying killing spree that left his family and community shattered. In just one night, 3 women lost their lives at the hands of a man they trusted and loved.
Deputies tell 10 Tampa Bay 3 women are dead and the man responsible is also dead.
Among the victims were his mother, 48-year-old Tidamisha Scott, his cousin, 29-year-old Sequoia Jonkila.
Yo, ho. He killed his mom? He killed his mom because he was... Come on, because he liked boys? Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Bryce and his ex-girlfriend, 31-year-old Cheryl Carter. But as the investigation unfolded, the true motive behind these gruesome killings left everyone speechless. It turned out that these women may have discovered Javonte Bryce's deepest secret. He had been hiding relationships with men. This is the tragic and chilling story of how secrets, fear, and shame led to the brutal end of 3 innocent lives. What drives a man to commit such horrific acts against those closest to him? What led Javonte Bryce down this deadly path? Let's break it all down.
The killer himself, the one that is responsible for 3 homicides in Manatee County last night. His name is Javonte Bryce. He is 28 years of age. He is the one.
To understand what drove Javonte to this breaking point, we first need to dive into his background. On the surface, Bryce seemed like a typical father and family man. At just 28 years old, he already had 12 children. That's a lot of responsibility for someone so young, but it seemed like he was managing. To those who knew him, Bryce came across as a regular guy, a father who was actively involved in his children's lives, and a man who stayed close to his family. But like so many tragic stories, what was happening behind closed doors told a different tale. As we'll soon see, Bryce's life wasn't as stable as it appeared. With 12 kids, relationships were already complicated. His relationships with the mothers of his children, including ex-girlfriend Cheryl Carter, were reportedly strained. And then there was his cousin, Sequoia Bryce. Some rumors suggested that the two may have had an inappropriate or even intimate relationship, although nothing was ever confirmed.
That was why he kept posting weird poems on social media. This one talked about him mentally sick and also being gay. It reads, "You were mentally sick. I seen a lot of people say it was because they found out you were gay. That's your choice, but the extent you went shows it's more than that. Pure evilness."
But it wasn't just family drama that complicated Javonte's life. Behind the scenes, Bryce was grappling with his own identity, which, according to sources, he was desperate to keep hidden. Javonte Bryce was secretly gay and had been having relationships with men, something he feared would destroy the image of himself that he had built for his family and his community. In many communities, especially where there is a strong emphasis on traditional masculinity, being open about one's sexuality can feel like an impossible task. For Bryce, that struggle was compounded by the fact that he was a father and perceived as the man of the house. To understand the depth of this tragedy, we need to take a closer look at the victims. These were not random strangers. Each of these women had a deeply personal connection to Javonte Bryce, making the crimes even more disturbing. First, there was his mother, Tidamisha Scott. At 48 years old, she had raised Bryce and played a crucial role in his life. You would expect a son to protect his mother, but instead, Bryce took her life. Many believe that Tidamisha may have discovered his secret, his relationships with men. Perhaps this pushed him to the edge, fearing judgment from the very person who had brought him into the world.
28-year-old Javante Bryce shot his mother, Tidamisha Scott, age 48. He shot his ex-girlfriend Cheryl Carter, age 31, and later shot and killed his blood cousin Sakuya Jonkila Bryce, age 29, which some people think he was having an affair with.
Then, there was his ex-girlfriend, Cheryl Carter, age 31. Bryce and Cheryl had a complicated relationship. She was the mother of some of his children, making their connection even deeper. It's believed that Cheryl too might have known about Bryce's hidden life. Perhaps she was a threat to his carefully constructed image of a heterosexual father of 12. The thought of her exposing his truth could have made Bryce feel trapped, leading to her tragic end. Finally, there was his cousin, Sakuya Jonkila Bryce, just 29 years old. Now, this part of the story is even more unsettling. There are rumors that Bryce and Sakuya were involved in a secret relationship, making this even more twisted. Whether that's true or not, it's clear that she knew too much, and in his mind, she had to be silenced. What's truly heartbreaking is how close Bryce was to all three victims. These were the people who should have been his support system, his family, his loved ones. Instead, they became his targets in a desperate attempt to protect his secret.
So we believe initially that this all started sometime before 9 o'clock when Mr. Bryce traveled to the Palmetto Trace apartments in Palmetto, in the city of Palmetto. Inside one of those apartments was his sister and a mother of one of the many children that Mr. Bryce has. When he walked into the apartment, he looked at the ex-girlfriend and said, "I have to kill you."
The events leading up to June 2024 are still under investigation, but some pieces of the puzzle have started to come together. At some point, it appears that the women in Bryce's life, his mother, cousin, and ex-girlfriend, started to suspect his secret. They may have even confronted him about it. For Bryce, this was his worst nightmare. The idea of his family finding out about his sexuality terrified him to the core. It's hard to say exactly when Bryce snapped, but the pressure of living a double life was clearly getting to him. Reports suggest that Bryce had been acting increasingly erratic in the days leading up to the murders. Friends and family noted that he was more withdrawn, spending less time with his children and appearing more agitated than usual. It's believed that Bryce felt trapped, fearing judgment from his family, his community, and even his children if his secret ever came out. So when the possibility of exposure loomed closer, Bryce's fear and paranoia spiraled out of control. Instead of confronting his truth, he made the unthinkable decision to silence those who he believed could reveal his secret.
He was acting very strange, not really sure what was going on with him. At 9:17 p.m., that we know that he traveled to the Motel 6 in East Bradenton. Inside one of those rooms was his mother, his mother's boyfriend, and two young juvenile sisters. He walked into that hotel room, looked at the mother and said, "I'm sorry." She asked, "What did you do?" And he shoots her 3 times in front of the boyfriend and these two innocent young juveniles.
The night of June 18th, 2024, started like any other, but it would end in unimaginable violence. Bryce first went to his mother's home, where he shot and killed 48-year-old Tidamisha Scott. His mother was reportedly one of the closest people in his life, and yet she became the first victim in his killing spree. What could drive someone to kill their own mother? It's believed that Bryce thought his mother had discovered his secret and that she might expose him. But the carnage didn't stop there. Bryce then made his way to his cousin's home, where he shot and killed 29-year-old Sakuya Jonkila Bryce. As we mentioned earlier, there were rumors that Bryce and his cousin might have been involved in an inappropriate relationship. If this was true, it may have added another layer to Bryce's fear and shame. Whether Sakuya knew about Bryce's secret or not, he believed she was a threat, and he silenced her in cold blood.
There, deputies found another woman. She was 29, shot inside of an SUV. Deputies attempted life-saving measures there, but she died an hour later, around 10:50.
Finally, Bryce headed to the home of his ex-girlfriend, 31-year-old Cheryl Carter. Carter was the mother of some of Bryce's children and had been a significant part of his life, but that didn't stop him from taking her life as well. Bryce shot Carter multiple times, ensuring that she would never have the chance to reveal his secret. Within a span of just a few hours, Bryce had taken the lives of 3 women who were deeply connected to him. It's hard to imagine the level of fear and desperation that must have driven him to commit these horrific acts. But as the night came to a close, Bryce's world had completely unraveled. In the hours following the killings, police were quickly able to piece together the connections between the victims. All 3 women were close to Bryce, and it didn't take long for authorities to identify him as the prime suspect. A statewide manhunt was launched, and within 48 hours, Javonte Bryce was apprehended without incident. When news of Bryce's arrest broke, the community was in shock. How could a man who seemed so devoted to his family suddenly turn into a cold-blooded killer? As more details about his secret life began to emerge, the pieces started to fall into place. Investigators learned that Bryce had been living a double life for years, engaging in relationships with men while trying to maintain his image as a father and family man.
And what kind of weapon did he have, and do we know where he got it?
Yeah, it was a handgun. We don't know where he got it. It was a revolver.
But why had he gone to such extremes? According to psychologists, Bryce likely felt that his entire identity was at risk of being shattered. His fear of judgment, both from his family and society at large, was so overwhelming that he believed killing those who knew his secret was the only way to protect himself. At the heart of this tragic story lies a deeper issue: Javonte Bryce's hidden sexuality and how it led to such catastrophic decisions. Living in secrecy, Bryce likely felt immense pressure to uphold an image of masculinity that didn't align with his true self. In a world where LGBTQ+ individuals often face judgment and discrimination, Bryce's internal struggle seemed to manifest in deadly ways. Being a father of 12, Bryce might have believed he had even more to lose if his secret were exposed. The societal expectations placed on him as a father and a man in his community likely fueled his sense of shame. The fear of being outed, especially in a world that can be harsh to those who don't fit traditional molds, led Bryce down a dark and destructive path. This tragic story highlights the devastating impact that shame and secrecy can have on a person's mental state. In many communities, being open about one's sexuality is still met with prejudice and judgment. For someone like Bryce, who was already juggling the responsibilities of being a father to 12 children, the pressure to conform to traditional gender roles was immense.
He killed all this people within a time frame of 2 hours. He was said to have done this for either of 3 reasons. He was exposed to be a down low man. He was caught sleeping with his blood cousin, and maybe because of his mental state.
Oh, you didn't tell me all that. I got 5 on it, yeah.
Living with such a heavy secret can take a toll on anyone's mental health. Bryce may have felt like he had no other choice but to keep his sexuality hidden, but in doing so, he trapped himself in a prison of fear and self-loathing. When his family began to suspect the truth, Bryce's fear of being exposed turned into paranoia, and ultimately, into violence.
A lot of people said he was sleeping with his cousin, who later discovered him to be gay. It was why he referred to her as Bae in the social media post.
It's important to recognize how society's stigmas around sexuality can push people to dangerous extremes. If Bryce had felt accepted and supported, would this tragedy have been avoided? Perhaps. But as it stands, his inability to confront his truth in a healthy way led to the destruction of his family and, ultimately, his own life. The aftermath of this tragedy left the community in mourning and disbelief. Tidamisha Scott, Sequoia Bryce, and Cheryl Carter were beloved by their families, and their sudden, violent deaths left a deep wound that will likely never fully heal. The children, Bryce's 12 kids, are now left without a mother, a grandmother, and a father. They will have to grow up knowing that their father was responsible for taking away the very people who cared for them. It's a heartbreaking reality that will affect these children for the rest of their lives. As for the community, the shockwaves from this tragedy are still being felt. In a place where family and community ties run deep, the idea that someone could turn on their loved ones in such a violent way is almost unimaginable. Many people are still grappling with how this could have happened.
Yes, Javante Bryce had quite a few run-ins with law enforcement, and we're seeing a pattern in those court documents, but the question remains, could something have been done to prevent Monday night's tragic shootings?
As we look back on this tragic case, it's clear that this wasn't just a story of violence. It was a story of fear, shame, and desperation. Javante Bryce's secret life and the pressure to maintain a certain image led him down a dark and deadly path. In the end, it wasn't just his secret that destroyed him, it was his inability to confront and accept his true self. This case serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of living in fear. The stigmas surrounding sexuality, particularly in certain communities, can push individuals to dangerous extremes. It's crucial that we work towards creating a more accepting and supportive society where people don't feel like they have to hide who they truly are. As we continue to follow the aftermath of this tragic story, our hearts go out to the families of the victims, especially the children who will carry this tragedy with them for the rest of their lives. And that's the tragic and disturbing story of Javante Bryce, a father of 12 who took the lives of his own mother, cousin, and ex-girlfriend, all to hide a secret he felt he couldn't live with. It's a haunting reminder of how deeply societal pressures and internal struggles can push someone over the edge. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think Javante Bryce's actions were solely driven by his fear of being outed, or do you believe there were other deeper psychological factors at play that led him to this horrifying decision? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into true crime stories, and hit the notification bell to stay updated.
Oh, man, I don't know. My heart goes out to his children and all those that was affected by his crimes. But I don't necessarily think that he did that because he was sleeping with his cousin. I feel like maybe his cousin knew the whole time, and when everybody else found out, that's what led him to do it. Or maybe he was hitting her and he was just, you know, lounging one day, and they was just she probably found out too much and ran her mouth. You know, I really don't know necessarily on that situation, but I don't necessarily feel as though it was because he was sleeping with her that he did it. It was because everybody knew, and he didn't know how to deal with that. Man, hey man, we don't know the secrets people hide in them closets. Everybody got secrets. And that's the one thing that scares me about people. And even getting to know people, like the secrets, you know what I mean? What's in the closet? Because everybody got something in the closet. Don't ever think that you know something about everybody. Everybody got something in the closet. Hey, yo, man, y'all stay up, man. This boy Bear 3200, a.k.a. Mr. Antisocial. And until next time, man, don't forget to like and subscribe.